Ever find yourself looking for a new shotgun? Well, I might have one for you. Let's get into it. What's up everybody, and welcome back to Outdoor Gear. My name's Aaron Bottoms, and today we're going to look at a personal favorite product of mine. But before we do, I'd like to ask you to like, subscribe, and comment down below what you want to see in the future so we can get it in and get it reviewed. So, let's get into our product. What we're talking about today is the Franchi Affinity 3.5 inch shotgun. Now, this is 12 gauge, and this is my personal shotgun that I use all the time. It is very worn in, and this is kind of a longer term review. If you want to see kind of the 1.5 year review that I did way back when, go to my personal channel at Soggy Bottoms Outdoors and check out that. But this has been used for about 4 years now, and I have put it through the ringer. The paint's wearing off. I've shot a lot of birds. I have missed a lot of birds. It's been in the dirt, the mud. It's been a paddle. It's been all sorts of crap, and it hasn't let me down too often. It has let me down, but some of that is user error and my own doing, and I can promise you that this is a wonderful firearm, and I'll get to why, and I'll also get to why I've had problems with it. So let's dig into it. Pretty much the specs are, it weighs 7 pounds, it's 3.5 inches, or it has a 3.5 inch chamber, which means you can shoot 2 3/4 all the way up to the 3.5 inch. I personally like that because I like to be able to shoot 3.5 inch, even though I rarely do shoot 3.5 inch. I usually shoot 3 inch and just, know that it's capable. I haven't had any issues with it shooting low-powered shells. The only thing I've had an issue with is the shell itself, which was like, I believe, a Winchester. The actual plastic came off of the brass and it separated, and that was a little bit of pulling it out at the skeet range. But, quite simply, it's in Max 5, and that's really the gist of it. Personally, it shoulders well for me. When I picked it up in store, it wasn't too bulky in the hand. It feels really good. The plastic materials are very good quality. It's made by Benelli, if you didn't know that. It is a Benelli product, made in Benelli, made in Accokeek, Maryland, and you can't go wrong in my opinion. It is more of a low-budget Benelli. That is awesome. Let's go ahead and break it down and show you how to clean it and how to take it apart and some things I've had issues with. First and foremost, inertia driven. So when the shell fires, the chamber comes back and closes again. Now I'll tell you this, if you ever bump this, being inertia driven, see if I can get it, there is a little gap here where that chamber doesn't close all the way. If you do not notice this and it is open like so, you will have a dry fire and your shell won't go off. Simply look down, make sure that's like that, make sure it's closed all the way, and you won't have any problems. Typically, shooting wise, if a shell doesn't eject or I have a misfire, typically it's because of that or the shell itself. Shoot quality shells, don't buy cheap stuff, don't shoot anything with rust on it, because you will have problems. If you want to shoot that kind of thing, just know you might have problems. Taking it apart, we go ahead and pull our cap off up here. Put that aside, separate the top from the bottom. You can take your forearm piece off, your barrel, and then down here I'll show you, take your pin out right here. Find yourself a nice screwdriver of some kind and just poke it through. Pull it out the other side, put that somewhere safe, don't lose that. Your trigger assembly pops right on out. Then you actually have your chamber ring, and you pull the pin here. Might take a little bit of pressure. This all comes out, that comes off, and you are good to go. You could take the spring off and things like that. I'm not going to worry about that right now. But as you can see, probably can see, my firearm is a little dirty. It's got some scratches right here from the forearm moving back and forth. It's been worn. I've shot this thing a ton. The paint is worn. But again, after 3.5 to 4 years, the paint wearing like this, I couldn't ask for anything more. Now you can get them Cerakoted and things like that, but this is the simple Max 5 version. I bought it used from somebody for about $700, and now they're going for about $1,200 or more. I wouldn't suggest taking all these pieces out and trying to clean it that way. I simply suggest maybe spraying a little bit of oil on a rag, some rim oil, and wiping this down, cleaning it up, and then take an air compressor and blowing any junk out of here. I have had issues with my gun firing because this was dirty and full of reeds and dirt and junk and all that crap. Sprayed it out, haven't had that kind of issue since. So take your air compressor, spray this out, move about your day. Always take this out when you clean your firearm to make sure that there's not a bunch of junk in there. Other than that, I take rim oil and I wipe the chamber down, I wipe the spring, anything that is metal, I wipe down with some rim oil to keep it from rusting, and typically don't have too much of a problem with it. I can't say that I haven't shot this firearm a lot in the mud and dirt and dust and hadn't had any issues, because after 3 days in Arkansas with that dry mud getting in there and that dust and blades and crap from your hide, it can jam up on you. It has happened, but again, a simple cleaning, you're back to business, or open up your chamber, make sure everything's cleared, and you're good to go. I haven't had too many issues that weren't revolved around something like a stick or something getting lodged in there and causing problems. So, one reason why I love this firearm. Putting it back together, just line up this guy here. It's got some notches that you can just slap it in there. Slide it down. Take your pin right here. Make sure that's slapped in. You're good to go. Which I'll mention, this is oversized and wonderful. So the 3-inch versions have the short little standard knob that comes off. You can replace these too, but I have never had an issue with gloves on, anything like that. Everything is nice and oversized, so you can get your fingers in there without it being a problem with gloves on. Now, if you got really big, bulky ones, can't talk too much about that because I don't wear big, giant, bulky gloves. Anyway, pull this guy back, put your trigger assembly in, line up the butt here with the back like so. You can actually let that go. Push your button down so you can drop it in, get your pin. Make sure the hole's lined up. Might have to wiggle a little bit to get it perfectly lined up. And sometimes it can be a little bit of a hassle just getting it perfectly lined up. There we go. Slides right back in. Take your forearm here. Go from the bottom up. Slides in place. Put everything in like so. Got to wiggle it in place here. There we go. Make sure that's all good. Screw your cap back on. And you're ready to party. Now another feature about this is you've got this little button right down here on the bottom. Click that out. Usually if there's a shell in here, it'll eject the shell out to the bottom and it'll rack back in place by itself. Now, once you do that, once you get to the last shell on the bottom, you click it, it'll hold the chamber open, you're clear, you're safe, you're good to go. Another, like I said, big features on here, so when you have gloves on, you're not going to miss your safety. And again, get your fingers down in here, no problem. Like I said, paint's wearing off in this thing. The buttstock here is getting a little chipped, you know, that crap's coming off, the rubber. But I don't notice it too much when I go to shoulder. And again, everybody is different, so if you pick this firearm up and you don't like the way it feels in your hand, it's all personal preference. I can say that it shoots well. I don't have too many issues with it ever, and it shoulders really nicely for me. Now they also make shims that go right here, so you can shim this a little bit differently to fit you a little bit better and all that jazz. Personally, I shoot a improved modified choke. Now that kind of, I shoot a lot of waterfowl, so that kind of shoots more like a full. With steel shot and with lead, it shoots a little bit tighter than your standard modified. I'm a big advocate of choosing one choke, shooting it, and getting used to it. I have used the cremator, which was a pretty standard choke compared to this, another Carlson version, and it might have been mentally, but I couldn't shoot as well as I could with this improved modified. And again, that was probably all mental. The sight up here is pretty easy to see. It's not the super high vis sight. It's just a red sight, one sight, no bead behind it on the rail here. I personally don't notice it too much or pay much mind to it. I'm more focused on the target I'm shooting at and don't have too many issues with that either. I'll tell you my little secret here of what I like to shoot with this setup. The improved modified choke, 3.5-inch Affinity. I shoot for deer, I shoot 2 3/4 triple-aught Remingtons. Patterns really well with this gun, and I love it. It's about 40 yards. You can get it in a pie plate, no problem. With anything else for waterfowl, I shoot a lot of number 2. That is my go-to. Black Cloud shot all right. Fiocchi shoots really well. Remington shoots all right. You know, I typically just toss it in there. Winchester BBs I use for snow geese. They shoot really well. They're cheap load, but they shoot great out of this firearm. Soon as also Federals do all right. But Winchester BBs for geese and things like that, great. Fiocchi for ducks, number 2s, wonderful. But I just want to do a quick review and tell you about this wonderful firearm. I bought this thing new. It's 4 years old to me, and my last video was a 1.5 years old, and I can't say enough good things about this gun. I love it. I'll never get rid of it. And it is my go-to for any game I go after. If you have any questions about it, feel free to message and comment and let me know. Go into your local store, pick up firearms, and see what feels good to you when you put it to your shoulder, when you pick it up. Can't say enough good things about this, and anybody that says they want to buy a firearm, the Franchi Affinity is what I send them to. Thank you for watching. Like I said, like, subscribe, comment down below what you would like to see so we can get it in, get it reviewed, and back to you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.